So we're going to change these handlebars. This might prove to be a little bit useful because this is something you're going to have to do on any intruder if you want to change the handlebars from the original ones with the wires in the handlebars. So we're going to start with taking the headlamp off. I've taken the 2 screws out. Headlamp wiring out to begin with. That's the little cover that goes on the, I removed that earlier. Right. So what we've basically got to do, just want to make sure that all these wires are still correctly color coded. I think they look okay. Obviously someone's had these, changed these bars from the original pullbacks. They've marked the wires that come from each side. I assume that's what they've done. Get rid of these zip ties. There's zip ties all over the place. So what we've got to do to extend these bars, the chap wants these 9-inch pullbacks. I think they're 9-inch pullbacks, they might be 13-inch pullbacks, but obviously these are going to require everything extending. So if this is a job you're thinking of taking on, this will give you a good idea of what you're up against. All of these wires have got to be taken out of the headlamp and then passed out of this little box in the back here, up through the risers. Then you've got to take the switchgear off and you've got to take all the wires out of the handlebars. So here we go. Okay, that's that one. So all these wires have to come off first of all. As long as the wires are original, which they are here, you don't really need to do a wiring diagram because it's all pretty logical where they go back together. This one's one to take note of. The one with the black tape on goes into the smoked holder. Only take the wiring out that you have to. That will have to be separated off, so I'll have to put that back onto where it was. That little extension. I'll leave that on there for now, because it'll tell you, it'll show you where the position of it is here when you put everything back together, because you'll see that there'll be one wire that has to reach across to the other switchgear pod. I think that one would go there. Yeah, that one would go there because it's got the 2 wires come in, and then that little extension just takes you to that one there. Right, so next job is to actually physically start taking all the switchgear and the hydraulics and everything off. First things first, I'll cover the tank up for now. I'm going to have to take the tank off because I need to extend the throttle cable. We'll start off by just covering it up, just in case something drops like the handlebars or something like that, just keep it safe. Again, make sure you hold the mirror and the master cylinder, so you can take the mirror off without breaking it, and then you've got to take the wires off for the two. Take the two spade connectors off the brake light switch. I'll take these off the seat because I'll be needing to take the seat off at some point. Now we can remove the handlebars. The switch gear obviously will stay on the handlebars for now. I'll have to take the throttle cable off as well. Gently pull these cables up through the risers, and we're not going to put these back in the handlebars, so they will be coming up external. So for now I'll just put these over here so we can work on these. Pretty much fit any Harley handlebars to these intruders, but you have to make sure that you buy 1-inch bars, Harley bars, but with dimples. You can get them with, or you can get them without dimples. And if you get them with dimples, which I'll show you in a minute, see that's called dimples. That's the Harley dimples, and that makes it a lot easier to bring the wires out of the switchgear. Otherwise you have to cut a hole in the switchgear. Now the other thing which needs altering on the Intruder to make the Harley bars fit, if you're still on standard risers, is you'll see there's a piece here, and that locates, it lines up on the original bars with the front part of this slot. Again, we're not going to be doing that. We're not going to be drilling the bars. We're going to be leaving the bars as they are and bringing the cables outside. So what we're going to have to do is grind these away. do. People like ape hangers. You know what, I might grind a little bit out of the risers to let the cables come out of the risers so that they're not coming up round the yokes, because they are a bit, sometimes they get a bit close to the, although no, they shouldn't on this one because he's not raked. Should be plenty of room. Oh, never mind, I'll leave it. I won't bother. Thing is, once you've got the cables, once you've taken the cables out of the handlebars and out of the risers, you can then fit any cable or riser combination you want, any handlebar or riser combo you want, rather than being stuck with the Intruder ones. So once they're out, they're out. That looks even, I'll check that in a minute. Need to get these cables out. Right, so you get this Hellerine lubricant, which is more or less the same stuff as you would lubricate your bedroom sex toys with. Put some of that on the cables. You can use WD-40 or Vaseline or something like that, but the good thing about this stuff is it eventually evaporates. It doesn't leave any residue. And then you've got to try and push it and pull it at the same time. I would put it in that vise, I suppose I could put it in that one down there. If you wanted to put the cables back through the handlebars again, which I don't think is a very good idea, but if you did, what you'd have to do is roll these wires up with a bit of copper wire and then solder either a thin welding rod or just a long piece of copper wire, thread that through and catch hold of it with some long nose pliers and pull it out. And then you can just join it to your wires and pull them back through again. Or you could, if you knew that you were going to be doing that, you could thread it through the end or thread it through here and out the end and then push it back. But you can see, this is why I don't like these drilled handlebars. They start to crack. There's a little crack just developing there. Not really what you want with your handlebars. The object of the exercise, if you can, is to avoid breaking the sheath, which is why it's good to use a lubricant that's meant to lubricate condoms, because the idea is not to break the sheath. Here we go, starting to go now. Just make sure you tuck the wires in nicely so you don't rip them off. There we go. That's one. Take those switchgear off as well. There's a screw missing out of that one, that's probably snapped off. I should have to put that right, seeing as I'm not going to be drilling holes. So on the original handlebars there's a hole, and there's a little pin that goes in to the hole on the back of the switchgear. I think this one's had it ground off, yeah, it's had it ground off already. Ugh, these gloves look like I've been giving someone a filthy massage. Greasy. if you can sort of work the cables straight, it helps. You can use washing up liquid or anything really that makes it greasy, but you want something that's going to dry up. You don't really want something that's going to stay greasy. It's got so greasy now I can't move it. Hands are just sliding on it. It's almost there. Once it gets around the corners with the greasy lube, it comes quite easily. Whir. Just keep patiently feeding it in and pulling it out. And I've noticed with this one it seems better if I try and keep it to the front of the slot. When it pulls to the back of the slot, it makes too much of an angle and doesn't want to know. Alright, that's all in. Standard handlebars are easier than this, but these have been drilled, and whoever's done it's not made a very clean job of it, which is why I'm struggling this end. The genuine slots are a lot bigger than that, but you really don't want to be drilling holes in your handlebars. Oh, this is tedious. The problem is the wires are so tangled up inside this sheathing. And they're out. Now, if you're lucky, these cables will usually do the job without having to be extended, but it just depends. Yeah, they look like they're going to do it, for these bars at least. Now what we usually have to do is grind a little bit out of the switch, but having dimples means you don't have to grind very much out. Might not have to grind anything at all, but we'll see how it goes. I think I usually take a little bit out of the bottom there just to... Might do it without. That's why I say use Harley bars, Harley 1-inch bars with dimples, because without those dimples there's no way on this planet you're fitting all this wiring in. I think it might just do it. Yep. That's without any modification to the switchgear. And you've got a long train there of dimple that you can run it along, and that's not squeezing that at all. Normally I'd just take a little, just take the burr to there and just take a little bit out, but he's fitting quite comfortably there, so I don't think I'll bother. Whoops. Lost an Allen key. don't have it. I refuse to sand down a perfectly good Allen key to make it fit in this stupid Chinesium hole. It's not going to go anymore. What a bloody waste of time that was. Hours used up to do a 10-minute job. Or even minutes used up to do a second's job.